Hello there, everyone, and Happy New Year. It is Natasha Tomlinson with My Home Group Real Estate here in Phoenix, Arizona. Great to see you all. Here we are. Great to see you all. I hope you're having a tremendous start to the new year. You've had some time to spend time with loved ones, stuff your face, stuff your heart, and be ready to go full force, guns blazing into 2022. If I can help you at all with your real estate related goals, by all means, feel free to reach out. That is why I'm here. Well, without further ado, what we're going to touch on today is our real estate market, provide a little bit of an update as to what we've seen up until this point and what we can expect in the short term, as well as some new changes in our laws here in Arizona that started as of January 1st, 2022. So let's begin. The big topic as of late is, are we in a housing bubble? Are we preparing for a crash? Many people know that we have experienced quite an uptick in housing prices, and the number of homes sold over the last 18 months has been absolutely tremendous. And so people are saying, well, how long will this last? How can this continue? What about affordability and all the rest? The average homeowner, just to give you an idea, the average homeowner in the United States has equity of about $57,000, which is a significant increase. And we're seeing now about 38% of homeowners are equity rich, which is great news as well. But there are a few economists out there that are saying, hold on now, we're building too fast, we're building too much. That supply may be currently low, but demand is low as well. And what are we doing? And one of those people are Ivy Zellman. She worries that there are not enough people for the houses that are being built, that we have falling fertility rates and an aging population and an uptick in multi-generational housing and not enough immigrants, all of which will drive declining population and a problem with new household formation. So let's break that down a little bit. What on earth does all that mean, right? So when we talk about having too many houses or not enough houses and demand and supply are out of balance, what we're saying, currently we're in a seller's market, and that seller's market is saying that there is too much demand for the amount of supply that we have. So we have too many people who are looking to purchase real estate and not enough real estate to purchase. That's pretty much what that means. And when we say demand, okay, Natasha, what is demand? So demand would be looking at our population, looking at inbound relocation from outside of the metro area to our Phoenix metro area. That's what we're talking about today. We're looking at household formations. And with household formations, we're saying one household that's split into two. So someone moves out. Someone moves out to get their own place. Maybe a divorce takes place. Maybe an adult child moves out on their own to have their own home, their own property. Well, we're seeing household formations. When we see a decline, we see two households moving, combining into one. Say a elderly parent is selling their home and moving in with their children. Say a college senior decides to move back home with their parents. So that sort of thing. Another factor with demand would be affordability. And when we mention affordability, we're looking at employment, we're looking at income, we're looking at appreciation, depreciation. And again, we are in a state of appreciation where the average equity per home borrower is about $56,000 nationwide. We're looking at interest rates, which are currently extremely low. And we're looking at lending practices. How loose or tight are those lending practices? What about the flow of money? If someone wants to purchase real estate, what are the requirements in order to do that? And those all go into affordability. And then demand, we also look at consumer sentiment, we look at emotion, and that is the X factor. That is the thing that is, we can't really quantify, how someone is going to feel about something, but those feelings do count and they do factor into demand. When we mention supply, what affects supply? New home construction, appreciation, depreciation. If property appreciates, people now have the desire and the ability to move, to take the equity that exists in their property and apply it to their new purchase. Other factors that affect supply would be foreclosures and household formations, and we'll touch on foreclosures here in a little bit. Outbound relocation. Now we have more people moving out of our area than moving in, and that is not the case. Divorce, death, illness, job loss, and other tragedies can affect supply negatively. And again, consumer sentiment and emotion is the X factor with supply. Your neighbor is moving, all your friends are moving, your family is moving. You get the itch, the desire, that fire within you has been lit to at least look into what it would take for you to relocate to another area, or even just upgrade or downsize your home. That plays a factor as well. But what these economists are saying, that as of right now, our U.S. population growth has slowed. So the rate of growth has slowed. Our population is estimated at 329.5 million people in the United States. The top states for growth are top 5 states: Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. What we're seeing is over the past few years, the rate of growth in the United States has slowed. And that's concerning when we're looking at housing and saying people can buy now, but down the road, 10 plus years from now, who's going to buy this property? And as we all know, a lot can happen in that time frame to change the direction of our market and our economy. So why do we have a shortage of homes? And this is showing the various populations, and that we have the greatest generation, the silent baby boomer, Gen X, millennial, and Gen Z, and the estimated population per age group and per generation, and how that fluctuates and that affects our economy and it affects housing. Forbearance. Let's just stop and talk a little bit about forbearance, the pre-foreclosures that we have seen over the past 18 plus months. The talk about our market crashing because there are going to be so many people entering the market that have been late on their mortgages. And as you can see, nationwide, we were at 4.76 million homeowners, mortgage holders, that were in active forbearance plans. And that number has decreased significantly during that time. Well, we are now under 1 million at 882,000 nationwide. So in order to see the crash that everyone keeps talking about or hoping for or whatever, we would need to see pre-foreclosure activity would need to increase 7,000+% to be compared to the numbers at 2008 to 2012. There are not enough mortgages in forbearance for us to achieve that. All right. Now, yes, pre-foreclosure activity is up. It is up since July, up 108%. But even still, that number is extremely low. And I'll point to a few slides in that will show you what I mean by that. As you can see, this chart shows pre-foreclosures from 1996 till 2021, November 2021. March of 2009 in Maricopa County, we had 10,558 notices of default. In November of 2021, we have 127. So you see the difference is significant. And so what is so exciting about Arizona? People are moving here. And that is also, as we mentioned before, affecting demand and supply. Although a lot of states, people are seeing a bit of population decline. California, Alaska, Illinois, New York State, Pennsylvania, Ohio, just to name a few. The Sunbelt states, Florida, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, we are seeing a significant increase in our population. I don't even need to tell you this. If you're here, you can feel it. You can feel it on the roads. You can feel it when shopping. You see the license plates, and you notice that there are more people here with traffic patterns and all the rest. So why do we have a housing shortage? Well, we have more people here than before. That's one reason. So demand again for houses is greater than supply. But a big contributing factor to that was the period of underbuilding that we experienced here in Maricopa and Pinal County. We had a huge period of overbuilding. And then after the crash, we had a number of resales available. There's no reason to build new homes. Lending and money was tight. And so we had a large 10-year period of underbuilding where we had more people moving here, a population growing and outpacing the number of housing units available. You can see that illustrated here. The amount of active supply houses available to purchase, houses on the market for sale in 2017 versus 2021. You can see here again, demand and supply being out of balance. When we had our market crash, demand was very low. The ability to purchase was low because the lending standards changed drastically during that time, and supply drastically increased. Whereas now, here we are, 2021, showing demand being high and supply being extremely low. Affordability is a concern. As you can see, our affordability, a normal range for affordability would be between, say, 60 and 75 on this chart on the Home Opportunity Index. And we are currently around 51, which is considerably lower than what we'd need to be, where we'd like to be. But my understanding is that this Home Affordable Opportunity Index only factors in W-2 income, not self-employment income. and not all the, little side gigs that have been going on that for some are not so little anymore. So we're waiting to see what the revised report will be through Q4. It'll be a couple months before we receive that. Inflation, of course, we're feeling it all across the board, and we're experiencing those changes in housing as well. Again, affordability, we see here January 2019, your median price home was $263,500, and now we're at $430,000. Price per square foot has increased dramatically as well, along with our long-term appreciation. Interest rates have been extremely low for quite some time, and now because of inflationary factors, because our government says that they will stop their purchasing practices by the end of the first quarter of 2022, that could cause interest rates to tick up. So please be aware of that. This chart shows that in January of 2015, even a house price at $190,000, even with interest rates being higher than they are today, a person could have a principal and interest payment of $784. That same home today would cost them $1,700. So everyone is feeling the squeeze, definitely. And that's a relatively short period of time for that to happen. Rents as well have increased. Just a few years ago, the average price rental was about $1,200. Now we're approaching $2,200 for rent on a long-term rental, 12-month rental. We're also seeing the availability of credit and mortgages being more available to people. So we'll see a lot more non-QM loan programs available, meaning more loan options for the self-employed with a little less documentation needed. We're seeing a lot of advertising becoming available again for that. So if that's of interest to you, then please reach out. Bank statement loans, low documentation, not showing as much tax returns. They do tend to ask for a bit more down payment, but again, it's better than not having the option at all. As you can see, the articles are coming out. Lenders are courting the self-employed borrower. Yes, they are. But just a bit of good news for Arizona. Our employment report is pretty healthy. We're within normal range for our unemployment numbers all across the board in every sector. And we rank number 2 for job growth, which is pretty awesome. And there are more jobs to come. We have almost over 700,000 jobs projected to come to Arizona in the next 10 years. We have a few large employers, large companies that are expected to come here. Taiwanese Semiconductor, Amazon is increasing their presence, Facebook, Google, Lucid Motors, Intel, just to name a few. And the majority of that growth is in Maricopa County, Pinal County, which would be the more populated counties here in Arizona. This is showing you the changes in supply. As well, you can see supply is down significantly this time since 2018 and continues to decrease. And our closed sales, we have reached record numbers in 2021, outpacing 2005. We've had record appreciation as well over the last few years. And I think we can expect to see that rate of appreciation slow for 2022 and 2023, but we will have positive appreciation. With the number of people that are projected to come here, it's just expected that would be the case. But we have noticed that the amount of activity has slowed a bit, and that's December, it's the holidays. So I believe that is the factor. It is the holidays. People were focused on other things, family, time off, self-care, travel. So we see the percentage of homes sold over asking. Where earlier this year, if you went to look at a house and you made a 2:00 appointment, you were one of 25 people at that 2:00 appointment, and you were standing in line in order to wait your turn to see the home with your client. Now we don't see that as much. We're not seeing as many multiple offers, and the percentage of homes that are being sold way and above asking price has decreased. As you can see from this chart, the median over asking in June was 20,000. Now we're around 10,000, and I believe we'll see that decrease some more. So overall, our general market indicators that we have here, both national and locally, is that, so in summary, really, that affordability is lower than normal. That we're seeing affordability at the end of the third quarter of 2021 at 51%, and normal would be in the range of 60 to 75%. So there's definitely something that we want to keep an eye on. Our population nationwide, household formations nationwide is shrinking. So, and the prices are increasing at a slower rate. Residential long-term rentals are up considerably, about 20%. We're seeing lending practices loosening. We're seeing more options available, more down payment assistance programs available, more lending options for the self-employed. Corporate profits are good and strong. Inbound relocation is also strong. Our jobs have fully recovered. Matter of fact, we have a lot of vacant positions. So if you're looking for employment, then by all means, please apply. Now is the time. The W-2 incomes are also up from a year ago. And our unemployment numbers, we always have unemployment, and our unemployment numbers are at or near pre-pandemic levels. All positive news. So let's switch over to a few new laws we have starting January 1st, 2022 here in Arizona. That's right. New laws to follow. So starting January 1st, 2022, we have seen an increase in the minimum wage. So in 2016, Arizona voters decided that it was time for a minimum wage increase. At that time, the minimum wage for Arizona was $8.05. For 2021, it was $12.15. And for 2022, the minimum wage will be $12.80 per hour. Let's see. The next law would be for those who have been adopted. Your birth certificates, your original birth certificates will now be available for those who are born on or before 1968. That is June 20th of 1968. We're also seeing a change in the income tax brackets. Arizona had 4 income tax brackets, and we are now changing to 2. If you are interested in what those are and where the income limits are, then I strongly suggest you speak with your tax professional about that and how that applies to you. But do know that starting January 1st, 2022, there are changes to the income tax brackets. And the last change we'll discuss today is the homestead exemption. The homestead exemption was $150,000, and it is now increased to $250,000. So we went from $150,000 to $250,000. So in theory, for those who are not familiar with the homestead exemption, in theory, your homestead exemption, you would be entitled to up to $250,000 of equity in your home and be protected. That equity be protected. However, along with the increase in the amount for your homestead exemption, also came another change that judgment liens can now apply to that equity. Yep. So when selling your property or refinancing your property, if you expect to have equity over and above $250,000, which is the case for quite a few people here in Arizona, depending on when they purchase that home, it is a factor and something to consider. Where you're at the closing table and you expect to receive, $275,000, and depending on what that existing judgment is, you're getting that amount is being sliced and diced, and more than that, if there is any discrepancy or disagreement in the amount, you may need to go to the courts in order to rectify that situation, which would definitely delay closing, causing other problems and possibly putting the seller in breach over this issue. So what I recommend is to really take a look at any existing balances that you have due. Maybe run a title report to see if you have any liens, judgments attached to your property, so that this can be prevent any issues with closing down the road. When refinancing a property, same thing. If there is an existing judgment, that judgment will need to be paid before any additional monies are released. So please be aware of that, and also know that the homestead exemption only applies to primary residence, not rental property or second home properties. There are also a few changes coming down the pike, or trying to be made with short-term rentals, with vacation rentals here in Arizona. And as we learn more about that as the year goes on, I will certainly keep you posted. As always, if you have questions about the Arizona real estate market, feel free to reach out. Feel free to DM me on any of the social media networks, social media channels, or call me, text me. I'm happy to speak with you. Be well and be blessed.